Hello guys, Zane here. Today we're going to be talking about the economy. And I'm going to move my face over here because why not? So today we're going to be talking about the economy and how Democrats actually perform way better with the economy. So Republicans or Democrats, who is better for the economy? I'll also have the link to this website in the description below if you guys want to check it out. So we're in the midst of another U.S. presidential election, and as we do every 4 years, we will hear talk about the presidential cycle and why Republicans, because of their more business-friendly policies, are better for the economy and stock markets than Democrats. But as with so much common knowledge, and the evidence for this is much more ambivalent than the conventional wisdom would suggest. If we calculate the average annual real GDP growth in the United States under Democratic and Republican presidents going back to 1947, the economy grew 1 percentage point faster on average under Democrats than Republican presidents. Now, a legitimate counterpoint might be that the last two major economic crises, the global financial crisis GFC of 2008 and the COVID-19 crisis of 2020, occurred under Republican presidents. So what happens if we filter our sample, eliminating the two crises and halt our analysts in 2006? The difference in real GDP growth grows even larger. So the dark blue is Democrat and the light blue is Republican. But the GDP growth is only one measure of economic progress. What about the equity markets? After all, Republicans have long championed the tax cut, which should help shareholders keep more of their dividends and capital gains and thus result in better stock market performance. Here again, the data does not support the conclusion. In fact, the outperformance of Democratic administrations relative to their Republican counterparts in total returns and adjusted for inflation, as with GDP, is even greater. Even if we exclude the last two crises, stock market's performance under Democrat presidents is still miles ahead of Republican presidents. It isn't even close. Wow. So Democrats are staying like the tens. Oh, okay. But this is just a picture in the United States. Does the same dynamic apply in other nations with similar left-right two-party systems? In the United Kingdom, the appeal of the center-right conservative is based in large measure on the premise that they are better stewards of the market and economy, and because the prime minister is guaranteed a majority in parliament, they should have an easier time enacting their policies. Than an American president whose party may not control one or both houses of Congress. So if the Tories are right, conservative outperformance relative to the Labor Party should be clear and ambivalent. But economic growth was still stronger under Labour than Tory governments. And again, if we filter out the last two economic crises and end our sample period in 2006, Labour's outperformance gap only increases. Crazy. There is one difference, however. Under Tory government, the UK stock markets have indeed outperformed, and by a considerable margin relative to Labour's government. Okay. So how do we make sense of all this? We could try to explain why stock markets have done better under Democratic presidents and Tory prime minister, or why GDP grew more under Labour and Democratic governments and administrations. But what the analyst demonstrates is that there is a great deal of luck involved in stock markets and economic performance. Thus, we should just ignore claims that one party or another is better for markets, because in the end, it probably doesn't matter all that much, and regardless, past performance is no guarantee of future results. Indeed, it may be worth dusting off. Dusting off and repurposing the perhaps apocryphal word of the late Tory Prime Minister Harold Macmillan. What determines market movements isn't so much which party is in power, but rather events. Dear boy, events. Okay. I think that's about it. A great article. I'm under the impression intuitively that a more capitalist focused government would be better for the economy. Um okay, capitalism to me is very incorrect. So a lot of the things they claim in a capitalist system is freedom of choice, competition works. If competition worked, there would be no monopolies, but there is. There is this glass company in Italy that if they don't own other companies that make glasses, they sell them glasses. So if their prices go up for glasses, like if they shipped glasses to Rays, but they rose the price, Rays was an American glasses company. I believe it was a military one actually. And the company in Italy, the industry that makes glasses, ships to all these glass companies that sell them. They even design their glasses for them and ship them. And not only do they either ship them the glasses for them to sell, they also own the second best prescription in America. So not only did they dominate the glass industry, they even silenced people who would fight for cheaper glasses because glasses are expensive unless you get them from a different um, corporation like Walmart. The only problem is Walmart gets their glasses from the industry in Italy. So yes, it is not owned by the industry. They still get their glasses, and they even sell Rays and stuff, other brands of glasses that get their glasses from that company. Their competition, you can't compete with that. They've silenced the people that would attack them for their outrageous prices by buying the second best prescription in the country. Let me see if I can find them actually. Oh wait, I can't show this. I can't show another slide. I'm gonna try. Okay. So let's go to the gla- the glass industry in Italy. What do they own or sell to? Is struggling before law? No, not that one. Okay, let me just look up the glass. Not the glass. The glasses industry in Italy. Yes. No. Is it? No, not glass. Ah, glasses. Oh, here we go. Um, yes, Luxottica. The answer is monopoly. Most sunglasses are manufactured by the same company called Luxottica. Headquarters in Italy, the company creates sunglasses and frames for Prada, Dolce and Gabbana, Tiffany, Versace, Oakley, and a variety of other vendors. This is a lesson for markets and branders. So they own a lot of the big. I'll actually have. I'll put this link in the description below. And then the freedom of choice is not necessarily true because it's only freedom of choice if you can afford both options. Most people choose the cheapest item not because freedom of choice, but because they have bills and they want to save as much money as they can to pay for the bills because most families in America, 60% of the American population is poor. And a big chunk of them live paycheck to paycheck. It's not freedom of choice because they don't have a choice. They have to choose the cheapest option. You're like, well, if they're only buying the cheap brand and then the other brands are getting left out, maybe then that'd make them raise their prices. No. Most companies in the United States are owned by one person. Disney. They own Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, a bunch of other Fox or parts of Fox. I don't know if they own fully Fox. If one of it, let's say Star Wars was losing money, as long as they're making enough money from a different sector of their business to counterattack the loss in one business, technically they wouldn't lower the prices because they can still afford the loss. It's when these monopoly companies cannot afford the loss when the prices will actually lower, which we're talking about people with billions and billions of dollars. They're not going to run out anytime soon to want to change those prices, especially because rich people and people that can afford to spend more money are going to buy those products. But for the majority of us, it's not, oh, I have a choice. It's, oh, I have bills to pay. So, not really freedom of choice if you can only afford one option. And so that's my problem with capitalism is all of that, especially because capitalism, literally its motto, its goal is to find the most most qualified person and pay them the least. So they want to find someone that's the most qualified, but also that they can pay less to save more money. And so you're getting mad at legal immigrants for stealing jobs, not really. But even if they were, that's capitalism. If they're qualified and they're willing to take a lower pay grade than what is the average for that workforce, that's capitalism. That's literally capitalism. Capitalism is a mixed market economy. So let's go to market economy cons. Market economies tend to produce inferior goods and services. The goal of a market economy is to find balance. Okay, wait. It harms the environment. A market economy places an emphasis on the cost of good produced over any other factor. Outsourcing is frequent in a market economy because the goal is to produce the highest quality. Wait, that was 11 pros and cons. Okay, let's just go here. The pros and cons of a market economy show that the forces between business and consumers can be beneficial, even if there are minimal controls and regulations in place to dedicate the relationship, although there is a risk for harm to workers and the environment. Similar risks exist in other economies forms as well. Yeah, to be fair, that is true. We're not a pure market economy, so let's look at the meaning. Market economy, an economy in which the greater part of production, distribution, and exchange is controlled by individuals and privately owned corporations, rather than by government, and in which government interference in the market is minimal. This is just a market economy. We are a mixed market economy. So let's look at the pros and cons of capitalism. I like study economic policies, ideologies. Capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership of the means of production and their operation for profit. Central characteristics of capitalism include capital accumulation, competitive markets. We already discussed competitive markets and why they don't really work. A price system, private property, and the recognition of property rights, voluntary exchange, and wage labor. In a capitalist market economy, decision-making and investments are determined by every owner of wealth, property, or production ability in capital and financial markets, whereas prices and the distribution of goods and services are mainly determined by competition in goods and service markets. But if competition worked, there would be no monopolies. But there's monopolies because competition doesn't really work, which is why one of the few pro-capitalist are rich people, because it helps them. Even the military has socialistic structures in it. I'll also put an article about that. Military. Okay. The U.S. and police are socialist institutions. Contrary to popular belief, the military, law enforcement agencies, and fire departments of the United States of America are among the world's most socialist institutions. This will also be in the description. The heart of democratic socialism is the willingness of the individual members of a society to make voluntary sacrifices to advance the greater good, whereas the heart of savage capitalism is the exploitation of the weak by the strong. These social distinctions are often lost in the dense economic discussions about who owns what in these dueling belief systems. Even though the 1% habitually defends predatory business conduct on the grounds that it's part of parcel of savage capitalism. Bottom line, when Medal of Honor recipient Dakota Myers risked his life to rescue 12 wounded comrades in Afghanistan in 2009, he was engaging in a classic form of democratic socialist conduct. Had the 21-year-old Marine stopped to monetize which rescue by negotiating payment from the wounded, he would have been engaging in a classic form of savage capitalism, but he didn't. Okay, so they're using a military story to discuss the difference between democratic socialism and savage capitalism. To be fair, this is a savage form of capitalism. I do think capitalism, it's savage, it is. Um, it pains you because U.S. citizens have been programmed to demonize democratic socialism and to view our nation as a capitalistic institution without ever being told that slavery and piracy are legitimate forms of savage capitalism. It is true. That is so true. As are for-profit prisons, child labor, prostitution, drug dealing for-profit colleges. Wait, drug dealing, comma, for-profit college, not drug dealing for-profit college. Payday lending, the denial of Medicare to the poor, predatory mortgages, lending, insider trading, political corruption, and mercenary outfits like the one formerly known as Blackwater. So this is just the economy, who does better, and some capitalism. We've discussed. Oh, I think it's saying my battery's dead. Oh, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Bye.